This is narrated by Abu Musa Abdullah bin al-Qais al-Ash'ari. Before we go into the hadith, let's try to briefly understand who Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, as he's commonly known as, radiyallahu anh, who he was. He was a person with an amazingly beautiful voice and qira'ah. People used to come to listen to him from far away. That was his voice. He was in Mecca, but he migrated to Yemen, and then that was before the hijrah, and then after the hijrah he came back. And when he came back, he became one of the, obviously he was an amazing qari, but he also was became one of the top fuqaha, one of the top scholars in Medina. So there were just a handful, literally, of fuqaha. When we say fuqaha, means people who know fiqh, who have the wisdom to understand the Quran and the Sunnah and put it together and tell people, if for a particular case, this is how you pray, this is how you do this is what you do in this situation, etc., etc. So there are 6 fuqaha that are known. Umar radiallahu anh, Ali radiallahu anh, Ibn Mas'ud, Ubay ibn Ka'b, and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, and Zayd ibn Thabit. Okay? You saying out of, let's say, 14,000, 20,000 Sahaba, only 6 fuqaha? Why? Well, everybody has a specialty, right? Everybody has a specialty. For example, I don't necessarily enjoy playing sports, so I'm not going to be an expert at sports. I'm going to do this stuff, right? So everybody has different kind of specialties. Some Sahaba, they were good at agriculture. Some Sahaba were good at poetry. Some Sahaba were good at being the fighters in the battles, right? Some Sahaba were good at making swords, right? They were ironsmiths, etc., etc., etc. Not all the Sahaba were experts in the whole religion. That is not the case. Everybody used to come to these top scholars. By the way, Aisha radiallahu anha was also a faqihah. People after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to come to Aisha radiallahu anha to seek fiqh opinions and ask her questions. What do we do in such and such situation, etc. Even during the time of the top Sahaba like Umar, Ali, Ibn Mas'ud, they used to have disagreements amongst themselves too. They might disagree on something. Anyway, so this is Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. He was one of the top 6 scholars of Medina. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, إن الله سبحانه وتعالى يبسط يده بالليل, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stretches out his hand at night, the best way it suits His Majesty, لِيَتُوبَ مُسِيءُ النَّهَارِ, so that He can forgive the sinner of the daytime. So if you sin in the daytime, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up His mercy in doors of Tawbah for you at night. وَيَبْسُطُ يَدَهُ بِالنَّهَارِ لِيَتُوبَ مُسِيءُ اللَّيْلِ, and then during the daytime, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also leaves the doors of Tawbah open for those who sin at night. حَتَّى تَطْلُعُ الشَّمْسُ مِنْ مَغْرِبِهَا, until the sun will rise from the west, from the way of its setting. What does that mean? Day of Judgment. Day of Judgment. What does that mean overall?
The Tawbah is always open.
Tawbah is, the doors of Tawbah are always open. Let's dig a little bit deeper on the rising of the sun from the west. When you see the sun rising from the west, but the Day of Judgment hasn't come yet, it's one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. Why would the doors of Tawbah be closed? It's a good question. It's an academic question, if you think about it. Because it's the Day of Judgment, the trumpet has not been blown yet. That is when it's the Day of Judgment, right? Yeah, but there's other signs too. Why that sign? Because that is the last sign, essentially, as that we can understand. That is going to be so close to the blowing of the trumpet. That's as if when the sun rises from the west, from the place of its setting, it's done. The day of judgment is literally about to happen. So that's why.